Okay, Mr. Chair, we are live streaming.
Okay, we're good.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we're going to begin.
Yes.
Okay, buenas everybody, and good afternoon. Today is April 25th, 2025. It's 2:05 p.m. right now, in compliance with 5 GCA Chapter 8, Section 8107. Public notices for the Guam Ancestral Lands Commission, regular meeting scheduled for Friday, April 25th, 2025, were published in the Guam Daily Post on Friday, April 18th, and Wednesday, April 23, 2025, and posted in the Government of Guam Public Notice Portal and the GALC website. Welcome, everybody. Can we get roll call?
I can do it.
Joey, would that be you, or would that be, is Kathy available?
Anyone do it?
I can do it.
Oh, okay, okay. Tina?
Chairman Rana Calabea,
Present?
Vice Chairman Ron Laguatnia,
Estiga,
Secretary Treasurer Anita Orlino,
Oops, I'm sorry, it's muted.
Commissioner Angela Camacho,
Here.
Commissioner Maria Cruz,
Present.
and Commissioner Westling said she'll be running a little bit late.
She's
I'm here.
there.
Oh,
I'm
okay,
here.
she's here. Okay, sir, we do have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. Tina?
You're
Let's
welcome.
move on down to item 3, approval of minutes. Shall we approach one set of meetings at a time, or just consider everything as a whole? The approval of minutes is for A, special meeting minutes, January 28, 2025. B, regular meeting minutes, January 30, 2025. And C, regular meeting minutes, March 12, 2025. Also, I'd like to announce the presence of our legal counsel, Mr. Miller. Can I get a motion on the floor to approve the minutes? Do we need more time and we could possibly table it for the next meeting if there's an issue? Vice Chair, you're on mute.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, okay. We have a motion on the floor to approve. That's all 3 minutes.
Yeah, subject to correction, please.
Okay. Can we get a second?
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a second on Vice Chair's motion to approve the minutes. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Any nays?
Aye.
No nays? Okay, Joey, motion passes for all the minutes. Okay, 1 second here. Okay, now we move down to the item 4, Acting Executive Director's Report.
Half a day, everybody. I'd like to start off with our GALC FY26 budget. Oversight Chairman, Vice Speaker Ada, Senator Chris Dueñas, Chairman of the Committee of Finance and Budget, as well as the Director of Office on Finance and Budget. I'm sorry, this is crazy, but our budget, I submitted our budget to everybody. I forwarded the budget to everybody for their review. And this meeting, I would like to request that our budget be approved. It was due 2 days ago. I filed for an extension explaining that the board has to approve the budget before we submit our budget to our Office of Finance and Budget. AT&T, the AT&T month-to-month lease agreement was recorded on March 25th, 2025. The draft RFP for appraisal services was received by our office on April 21st, 2025, addressing the concerns of our legal counsel. With the approval of the board, Guido can now proceed with the RFP process. Lot 10190-R1 South Finigayan, right of entry was signed and recorded on April 10th, 2025. Next is the site inspection. The staff and I, along with Commissioner Wessing, on our second site inspection, our second visit, conducted a site inspection. The reason for the site inspection was to conduct our own visit so that we can actually better understand the magnitude of trash or debris that is down there that was mentioned by Smithbridge. So we did 2 site inspections. We visited the site on March 17, 2025, and then on March 8, 2025, along with Commissioner Wessling. During our initial inspection on March 17, we were unable to locate the concrete structure on lot 192 and 192-1 PD. However, during our second visit on April 8th, Commissioner Wessling guided us directly to the site, confirming the structure's existence. For your information, this building was documented in the archaeological inventory survey report from the Department of Navy that was transmitted to the Department of Parks and Recreation Historic Resources Division on March 7, 2000. Our first site visit was conducted to gain a clearer understanding of the amount of waste material Smithbridge referenced during their meeting on March 12, 2025. We also wanted to see if TransSteel was still operational. The debris we discovered were mostly loose metal scraps, tires, empty plastic containers, vegetation, and dirt. There were mounds and mounds of dirt mixed with all of these items. During our initial visit, TransSteel's location appeared abandoned with overgrown trees and vines covering the metal scraps on the property. However, our second visit revealed that TransSteel was no longer there. The property had been cleared and the metal scraps were gone.
What?
Unfortunately, we're unable
No,
to
I don't
print
know.
the
It's
pictures that we took during our site visits, because we took pictures both times. Both site visits, we took pictures. And we're unable to provide you the pictures. That's why my computer was down earlier. OTEC's trying to fix it. But in conclusion, it appears that our tenants and our property managers have independently negotiated agreements without seeking the board's official approval. Thank you for the opportunity to present this update.
Jesus Masikati for your report. So we conducted, there was two site visits. I'm sorry I wasn't able to make those site visits due to medical appointments, but you're confirming that there was activities done that did not include the board's approval? There was.
Yes, sir.
Can you run over that again in your report?
Yes, sir. During our visit, we visited TransSteel's location on March 17th. When we came there on March 17th, the location appeared abandoned. There was metal scraps, overgrown vegetation, everything was there. But when we came back on April 8th, along with Commissioner Westling, when we came back on April 8th, TransSteel's no longer there. There's nothing on that lot. It's cleared.
Okay. Any questions from the board regarding some of her report?
Just a comment.
Okay, Commissioner Cruz?
I think that we will reach the agenda on what's happening on Pearson's request. But I personally feel that they proceeded assuming that we're going to approve the switch of property. So that's my conclusion to the quick removal of debris.
Okay, that's your comment?
That's it. That's
Okay,
my comment.
Gita, you want to chime in on this?
For the commissioners, this is Diego Mendiola for GITA. I just wanted to report to the board that yes, we have been working with Smithbridge, but I would like to refute the assessment or the assumption that any deals or agreements were made with Smithbridge without the board's approval. Just to be clear, and also to speak up for GITA's side, Smithbridge has presented some of their future plans to the commission in the past two meetings. However, GITA's advice to Smithbridge was, if your plans involve any type of environmental remediation, that they ensure that EPA would agree with it, before presenting it as any kind of final plan. So all of their plans up to this point have been in draft and just consultation form or consideration form. And so when we get down to the later part of the agenda, Mr. Dan Swavely is here to speak on behalf of Smithbridge to describe their efforts in their consultations with EPA regarding their proposed ideas and plans.
Okay, now regarding Mr. Pearson though, and that particular piece of property, wouldn't it be presumptuous to assume the board is going to approve something that we've actually had discussions with the legal aspects of? Since that is a license, it's not in per se a lease.
Only a license.
Yes, sir. So, you know, if it's your desire to address that at this point in the meeting of the agenda, we can, if you would like to. Or
Okay.
if you
Well,
want
let's get our legal counsel to chime in on that real quick.
Mr. Chairman, it would be more appropriate to continue this discussion when we get to the specific agenda item rather than under the topic of director's report.
Okay, so do we have it? It is on the agenda? I'm sorry if I got it on the
Sir.
agenda.
Oh.
Is it on the agenda?
The agenda item for under Smith Bridge is
Okay.
for consideration of the sublease to Black Construction
Okay, we don't have it for
for TransSteel.
for
No, sir.
TransSteel. So I'm sorry, legal counsel, it's not on there. So I guess we're still under discussion with our
Well-
director's report.
I mean, we can certainly continue the discussion regarding the status of this particular piece of property. What we can't do is make any decisions. But y'all are free to, offer your comments and encouragement as you see fit.
Okay, why don't we do this? Why don't we continue with the agenda as is, and we'll get back to this this topic.
It's not in the agenda.
Yeah, it's not in the agenda, so I guess will give us time to contemplate the director's report, and then we'll get with Gita, and then we'll try to iron things out and see how it goes. So let's move on. Let's continue. Everybody's in agreement? We continue?
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry. Okay. So let's see.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes?
are we are we able to discuss matters within the director's report, particularly the budget, by any chance?
Oh, yes, we can still bring that. Let's continue.
That's
with
where
that.
we're
You can
at, right?
ask her questions. Yes, you can still ask her questions with this. with that.
Okay.
As far as
I
the
ha-
TransSteel, we'll take that up later.
Okay, I have two questions with regards to the budget.
Yes, sir.
Now, Kat, okay, I reviewed the budget. Now, I've known that in the past we've had clean audits. Now, I
Yes.
noticed there's a $29,000 cost for the budget included. Do we get audited every year?
Yes,
Is
sir.
is that a requirement?
Yes, sir.
Hmm.
And this year, the cost for our audit report is 29,000.
Okay, yeah, I saw that. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Secondly, now there's a $15,000 for advertisements. Now, as to my understanding, I think they did pass the new law that would not have us be publishing print media anymore. No longer print media. We can do electronic and digital advertisements now. Will we still need that 15K?
Yes, sir,
That's my
because there's still
question.
gonna be a fee. There's still gonna be a fee that the media will charge us. Second, also, advertisement and publication. So, when it's actually for advertisement and publication, one for our meetings, and not just that.
Oh, yeah.
When we put out the notices, for example, if we have title hearings, we have to put out those notices. And
Okay.
the cost of print has increased. So what we used to pay $160 a meeting now cost us $360 per meeting, or $320 per meeting.
And that's via print or and digital?
That's just print, sir.
Okay, so yeah, no, we no longer, like I said, we no longer have to do print now. So it should be saving us some costs regards to the advertisements. So, I'm just concerned regarding the monies, the $680 some thousand budget taken out from our our SID funds. This is generated monies for the commission. And it's no longer a general fund budget, I'm just concerned about the expenditures. That's my concern.
Okay,
So I just wanted
if
to
you'd
know
like,
if you can, yeah, do you have a breakdown from last year's budget at the cost that incurred from last year's budget? And
last
is
year's
there,
budget? Oh,
did
I'm
you
sorry.
guys exceed it?
Yes, sir. Last year we spent 10,800 on advertisement.
So we do have lapse funds then from that, right?
If we from FY24, we spent $10,800 on advertisement. This year for advertisement, we budgeted only 11,000.
Oh, okay. I thought it says 15. I saw 15 there.
This is for FY 2026, sir.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay, well,
2026.
okay, point. Okay, what was allocated for 2025?
2025, they gave us 11,000.
Okay.
And of everything in our budget, if you look to our previous budgets, the only thing technically that has increased salaries, benefits, and advertisement. That's the only places that we've increased. We've decreased in our petty cash and supplies. We decreased in our fuel. We got rid of the subscription in 290 under miscellaneous appropriations. We deleted subscriptions. But we're obligated with ethics training.
Yes.
And yeah, so everything else is basically the same except for salaries, benefits, and advertisement.
Okay. Another question. I'm just trying to refresh my memory on the ethics training. That's an annual thing, right? Am I correct?
Every 2 years, sir.
Okay. Yeah, now that we have a new board, so we are scheduled for an ethics training. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Nothing further.
Very good. Any further questions for the director's report? And I'm going to assume item 5 is also involved in that. Right, Kat?
I didn't hear you, sir.
Apparently, it's item 5 is on the agenda, administrative matters. We were actually on that, discussing that, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any further questions for Kathy? Okay, Commissioner Westling.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Kathy,
Yes,
in
ma'am.
our requirements, the commission's requirements to advertise and publications, our policy and rules procedures state that we must use both electronic and printed means, or does it say or? Either electronic or printed? Or is it electronic and printed?
Previously, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Previously, it was print. It was print media only, but they just approved the new law that says that they're allowing for electronic media.
Okay, so the new law, and I'm sorry that I just can't recall exactly how it's stated. So the new law allows exclusive electronic only. And I only ask this question because as our vice chair, mentioned earlier, that print media has become very expensive. And if the law allows us to do electronic exclusively without having to do print, then perhaps, we can, use that mode, the cheaper mode to help
Yes.
save, costs.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
May I comment too, Mr. Chairman?
Of course.
Yeah, I would like to comment on Commissioner Westling's point there, because in the past we've had situations that which our meetings were as correct, Commissioner Lino, were canceled as a result of the mandate for print media. So that's my question, is just to try to cut cost as much as possible. And I believe that's the same concern that Commissioner Westling, all the other commissioners share. So I just would like to find out, is there a way, if the budget being that amount can be reduced to whatever means is viable, just to get the message out to the media at the least cost. That's all my concern.
If the board would like, I can adjust the advertising, because I based on what I've given you guys, there's no other place that I can cut monies from. I can cut our media, I can cut it back down to 10,000, but I can't cut anywhere else.
May I ask a question?
Commissioner Camacho? Yes.
I thought I saw something about extra or additional office space, maybe for conference room or something. Kathy,
Yes, ma'am.
is that the case? We're requesting for additional office space?
I'm trying to grab that. Just we are, yes, ma'am. I'm asking for additional. Well, I submitted for additional office space because the board is asking, along with the legislatures, asking that we go back to face. And right now, our office space, the space in our office currently is too small.
But
So
what about the idea of sharing space with Department of Land Management like we used to do, or CLTC,
we still pay office space rent.
when we use their conference room?
No, but we have to make sure that we just have to schedule it.
Mm-hmm.
But here's another thing. We don't have any, well, I mean, we're down to 2 cases of paper. We have not purchased supplies in the last couple of years. We're hoping that our purchase order this year gets approved so that we can buy more office supplies. Our office has not bought office supplies in the last 3 years.
Oh,
So
we kind of
but our office
switched.
supply,
We
yeah.
kind of switched from. We kind of switched from office space to office supplies. So, but I understand why
Because-
you're bringing it up. I understand why you're
Yeah.
bringing it up, and it's the face to face. And I don't think we need to. I think there was an additional. What was the amount for the additional office space?
I doubled it. I doubled it for next fiscal years.
Yeah, I think that that's something that we can take a look at, and then office space and office supplies are quite different. I think for me, it worked in the past that we shared space with the Department of Land Management, and I think perhaps CLTC would be open to sharing their conference room for these meetings. And because I agree in meeting face to face, it's the cost for the paper. We don't need to, there's a big difference between buying paper and renting additional office space to hold a meeting. So I think we need to just really go through this budget again. And
Okay.
and I agree, and look where we can cut. And
Yes,
I think perhaps it's the office space that can be held off. And again, speak with Department of Land Management and CLTC or any other maybe Gita can allow us to use their conference room.
But may I just respond? Another issue we're having is we still go by appointments only in this office. We we don't allow people to just walk in to our office. The space is limited. When Joey and Andy when Joey has an appointment, sometimes there are 10 people that come into our office. Those 10 people come into this office, we can barely walk out of, I mean, we can barely move in our office. Our
Yeah.
office space we have outgrown our office space. Plus, another thing I wanted you to remind everybody is that, remember, we have the TAP grant. The TAP grant that we were awarded. The TAP grant calls for us having 2 workstations for the general public to come in and conduct their own research on their own property with the TAP grant. We have those 2 desks set up in our old, what do you call that? Our old conference room. We have a
Right.
small table that we have out in front of Joey's desk where we set up one of the computers under the TAP grant.
Okay, I think we should set up a session so that we can focus in on this particular matter. So going back to face and the problems with what we're having with office space. I remember Kat and Joey, you brought up the issues with going down to CLTC with, I guess it was Wi-Fi or something, and you guys were going to verify and do some kind of a sample test on it. So I don't know, did you guys get to that or?
So, the other
Joey?
problem is our live streaming. With Tomorrow Land Trust, they have a contract or they have an agreement with, I believe it's, oh gosh, I forgot. Anyways, so if we're gonna do live streaming, that's gonna be an additional expense for us to do the live streaming. There's no Wi-Fi that we can connect, or it wouldn't reach Tomorrow Land Trust or Department of Land Management.
I think you're
Um,
talking about, Joey, I think you're talking about public television.
Yes, ma'am.
Um,
Yes.
So, but I don't know, at Guam Housing, we live stream on Facebook Live. I don't know that
Yeah.
the PBS is required.
Okay,
No, that's how you guys are, how Tomorrowland Trust is live streaming via PBS, but you're also using
Facebook Live.
Facebook.
okay, I'm gonna intervene for now. Well, I think what we should do is, this is very critical topic. Everybody's bringing up very pertinent information and it's very important. It's good we're revisiting it, but I think, Kathy, let's set up at least put this on the next agenda, that this topic, so that we can address it and see where we're at and get into more detail with what we need to do. Can we do that? Set it for the next meeting? You're on mute?
Yes, sir, I'll do that.
Okay.
Would you like a work session?
I'm open to it. What do you guys think? Could we just do it on a regular meeting?
No, just do a special meeting, particularly budget.
And budget and the office, right? The administrator's office issues.
That'll
And
be budget.
we gotta go back to face-to-face meetings.
That's budget. That's
That's
budget.
budget? Falls on the
Yeah.
budget? Okay.
Yeah, that's all included.
Yes.
Okay, Kat?
Okay. Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. So we're gonna move on?
Proceed.
Okay, so we basically covered item 5 with that also. So we're gonna move to item 6, Gita, progress report.
Buenas and good afternoon, Vice Chair Claveo, Vice Chair
Right.
Leguani, all commissioners, GALC, Acting Director Kathy Bloss, and your staff as well. My name is Tony Ariola, representing Gita. I'm with our RPD division, as well as I'd like to announce the presence of the Matson management team, as well as the Smithbridge management team and consulting group. Yeah, I'm here today to present to you the Gita Monthly Progress Report. The following is a progress report on Gita's efforts to manage land bank trust properties as required by Section 1 of the MOU between GIDA and GALC's Land Bank Trust. The first one on the list is Weddingale Junction, Northern Market, Route 3 Dededo, and their monthly rent is $27,854.51, with the current outstanding balance as of April 2025 is $2,218,448.92. Their last payment was received February 8, 2023. Second one on the list is Apra Harbor Parcel 1, that's Quick Space, down in PD. Their monthly rent of $4,069.31 with zero outstanding balance, with their last payment received on April 11, 2025. Apra Harbor Reservation F12 Matson, down in Polaris. Their monthly rent of $27,733, no outstanding balance. Their last payment received on April 18, 2025. The tenant submitted a written letter of request for consent to now sublease 5.3 acres instead of 19 acres, as previously presented to Black Construction. That submission was made on March 4th, 25, and it was presented to the GALC board meeting on March 12th. That is now pending GALC approval. Also, the proposed sublease agreement terms will be an initial period of 5 years with the option to extend for an additional 5 years. And GALC will be receiving 11% of the sublease rent. Lot Apra Harbor Reservation F12, that's the Transstilt property. Their monthly rent of $500 a month with a current outstanding balance of $6,000 as of April 2025. And their last payment was made January 24th. The tenant submitted a formal email notice on March 27, 2025, and he indicated the following. He's informing the Guam Ancestral and GIDA of ongoing discussions with subleasing property with Smithbridge, Guam. They also indicated that they're thanking GALC and GIDA for their support provided to them during their challenging financial times and granting them a payment plan. They also stated that they want to make a lump sum payment for payoff of the outstanding balance owed, but no date was indicated. The tenant is currently in a month-to-month tenancy under a license agreement. The Tengisan Cable Landing Station in Dededo, this is the one in Dededo, NCS by NCS Beach. Their monthly rent of $22,939.42 with their outstanding balance of $0. Their last payment received on April 3rd. Their month-to-month lease agreement was recorded on March 25th, as Kathy mentioned in her executive director's report. And what it is the draft RFP appraisal service is pending finalization. Next one on the list is the Lot Apra Harbor Reservation F12. That's also Polaris Point, where Smithbridge is leasing the 8-acre used property with a monthly rent of $8,800, zero outstanding balance. Their last payment received on April 7. GIDA made a visual site inspection that was conducted on March 9, 2025 and observed the following. The staging of shipping containers, chassis, the production of concrete barriers, and manufactured sand aggregates. There was also ongoing clearing and debris cleanup of the unusable 5-acre property, and I believe that's still ongoing, with the clearing and grading. Also observed separate piles of debris and tires, green vegetation, metal scraps, and other waste. On March 12, 2025, the tenant informed the GALC board of its intent to sublease and develop, and we're pending submission of formal requests. I believe that plan has changed, and I believe later on in the agenda in the new business, Smithbridge will be able to present more on that. Lot 10155, that's the Farmers Co-op up in Dededo. Their annual rent for CY 2024 is due May 2025, soon. We are pending submission of their CY 2024 financial statements to determine their annual lease payment due in May 2025. Last update from Sharon, their FCAG rep, is that the statements will be submitted by the end of April of this month. Moving on to Tizen Properties, the Guam Environmental Protection Agency building with a monthly rent of $8,000, their total outstanding balance of $32,000. They also made a lump sum payment of $24,000 on April 1, 2025. The Department of Public Health WIC building, also up in Tizen, their monthly rent of $8,400 with a outstanding balance of $8,400, and a lump sum payment was made of $16,800 and $4,200 that was received via direct deposit ACH on January 17 and January 21, 2025. The other items on the list, the public law number 38-1, that is the new law with the extension of Government of Guam leases that was extended from 5 to 15 years. It's a new law that increases the allowable period for commercial contracts, leases, permits, and licenses for use of public road property and related facilities by non-governmental entities from 5 to 15 years. You also have the public law attached that was disseminated to the board commissioners. This concludes my report. Should anybody have any questions, please feel free to ask. Thank you.
So just Masi Tony. Do we have any questions for Gita on their report?
I have a question, Mr. Chair.
Vice Chair?
Well, Tony, can you clarify again that draft RFP that you said was pending? Is that pending from who? Who is it pending with?
We're currently finalizing it right now.
Oh, okay, you guys with Gita.
Yes, we made a submission to GALC, if my memory serves me correctly, a few days ago.
And
So,
that's the IT&E.
AT&T.
Oh, AT. I'm sorry. AT&T. I'm sorry. AT&T. I'm sorry. I always get that thing wrong. Okay. I don't know whether IT because IT is local.
Okay.
Okay. And
Vice Chair?
so wait, one more. With Trans Steel, they have a monthly payment, right? And he has an outstanding of $6K. And he vacated the premises already?
no, I believe he's still on it. He's just notifying us that, yeah, he has the intent to relocate. Yeah, that was it. And he did send us a formal email notice in that.
Okay, I see Kathy's hand raised there, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, I was waiting for you to finish, but okay, Kat?
I'm sorry, sir, but they're no longer there. If
Okay.
only we can show you the pictures. Joey, can you do a screen? Yeah. Joey will show you the pictures we took. They're no longer there. There's nothing there that resembles Trans Steel.
Okay, while you're doing that, Commissioner Westling, you had your hands up. Yeah, Commissioner Westling?
Thank you. Tony, just a question on the outstanding rent balances for both Trans Steel and WIC. So the balance for Trans Steel you show to be $6,000, and the last payment received from Trans Steel was in January. So does that $6,000 include February, March, and April payments?
That's correct, Commissioner Westling.
Okay, so that 6,000 is as of this
April
month.
2025, that's correct.
Okay, and is that the same for WIC also? They have an $8,000 outstanding balance on a monthly rent of 8,400. And so they made payments in January also. That was the last payments made. So February, March, and April have been collected.
Yes, all the way up to March. Are you talking about WIC?
WIC, yes.
Yeah, they're only due for April, ma'am. Now, the lump sum payments that were made in January 17 and 21 covers all the way up to March. So they're
Okay,
only due for 1 month,
so-
ma'am.
Okay, so in January, they advanced the payments for February and March, and now they're only outstanding April? Is
That's correct, Commissioner Weston.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Well, one last question, Tony, Mr. Chairman.
Vice Chair.
Okay, Tony, what's the situation, latest update with Northern Marketing now? Because that's, I believe, their months has passed since I think a month
You know,
since
Vice
we
Chair
last heard.
Guan, yes, I touched bases with Mrs. Jennifer Calvo. This was sometime Monday. And I
Okay.
also sent her an email, and she said that she's working on the updates and she'll be having an update soon, and that will be submitted soon for the GALC board. She assured me of that, but there's still ongoing. Yeah, there should be something ongoing there with some permit was the last that I've heard.
Okay, so just email her, letting her know that we are deeply concerned. We need an update as soon as possible, please.
Yes, we'll surely do.
Thank you.
Okay, we're back to Kat, Joey.
Okay, Mr. Chair. So let me go ahead and share my screen. So here's a satellite photo of the Polaris area. And this is as of March 13, 2025. And you can see this is, this is the area that is being occupied by Trans Steel. And then we had there was a meeting with Smithbridge, EPA, and EPA invited us, and so we participated in the meeting via conference, and Smithbridge shared a photo that they took with their drone. Sorry. And so you can see now, this is where Trans Steel used to be, but now it's cleared. And so they have relocated them here. So this was, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Who relocated them?
I believe it was an agreement between Trans Steel and Smithbridge.
Joey, what's on the right of the screen? That's Matson?
On the right is Smithbridge.
Okay.
So that, I mean, we have other photos that we took.
Okay.
You know, so you can see that there's some grading, there's a mixture of
Dirt.
dirt, green waste, graded material, Um, this is, I believe, the boundary between Smithbridge and Matson. Again, you can see grading, and so, we wanted to confirm that, what was mentioned to the board, that, is this entirely the debris left behind by Bali Steel? And it looks like it's just a combination of the debris left behind, graded material, the green waste,
Okay, but the bottom line is Trans Steel is not there anymore.
no, their operations were moved.
Okay, so that means they've abandoned the property.
I don't want to say they abandoned the property.
Well, the property is what's being licensed to them.
Right. Yeah.
They're not there anymore.
Okay, so they've abandoned the property.
Uh-huh.
They relocated.
Well, we don't, that's beyond us where they relocate, but
Yeah.
they've
Yeah.
abandoned
We don't know
that
that.
they could relocate to Mount Lam
Mount
Lam.
Lam Lam.
But as far as we're concerned, they're not there anymore. They've abandoned the property.
Uh-huh.
Correct?
I mean, Mr. Attorney Miller, I mean, technically they still have the right to that exact piece of property, but they're also
They're month
using
to month.
Christian-
They're month to month.
Yeah.
with us.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't want to say they've abandoned the property, because again, our license is still effective. It's on a
Right.
month to month, but they relocated to another piece of property. So, I mean,
But the
they still
license
owe
is-
us.
The license is descriptive of what
Correct.
they're going to
Correct.
do.
Yeah. So they haven't formally told us that they
Right.
moved.
They have not.
So for me, they still owe us rent for that
Right.
property, whether they're on it or not. They still owe us.
Right.
True. Yeah.
So again, that's why I don't want to say they abandoned it.
The
Well,
board makes that
but they're no
determination.
longer there.
That's true. You're right. Okay. Okay, we're kind of clear on what's going on. So, any
That's good.
questions?
That's good pictures, Joey. Thanks for that.
Yeah, and we'll try to get these to you. We've been having technical issues with our internet lately and our
But it
computers.
looks like a pretty good job regarding what Smithbridge is doing over there so far. I mean, I wasn't there, but the way it looks, it's like a big.
Yes,
difference.
definitely. They're doing a good job
big
of clearing
difference
the
compared
property,
to-
but
Yeah. No, I'm just
But it-
that's on a side note. It's like they're doing a good job of clearing. They still got some cleanup to do, but there's an improvement for sure.
They're doing a good job in clearing, but they're not doing a good job in paying.
Right. That's true.
that's you're
No,
referring to Trans Steel,
we're
right?
You're talking about
Right,
Trans
correct.
Steel. Yeah,
Trans Steel.
but
Yes.
Smithbridge is doing a great job of paying and clearing.
I'm talking
Okay,
about Trans
okay.
Steel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Trans
Trans
Steel.
Steel. Okay, we got the picture. Thanks, Joey.
Okay.
Kat.
Good pictures.
Unless you have any questions for Kathy and Joey regarding those pictures. Oh, I know, Commissioner Westling, you were down there also for the site visit.
Yes,
I thought-
I was curious as to what was going down there, so the staff put out the invitation and I decided to go down.
Okay.
Mhm.
My thoughts.
Somebody's hands up? I didn't catch it. Okay, Commissioner Cruz?
If we just, if we were supposed to terminate the month-to-month lease because, Mr. Pearson actually hasn't complied with his additional, payments towards his arrears, then that property is going to be more valuable because it's cleared. My thoughts. So we
Exactly.
can probably make direct payment, a direct lease negotiation to, an RFP, some, again,
No,
open.
there's a legal matter regarding that because I did bring it up before with the director in the past. That we
But
can't
Chair-
just, move from one to the other. That's what I was told in the past by the director and our legal counsel. That if we had to do something else with it, it would have to be RFP.
You're
Yeah.
right. That's what I
Mr. Chair,
mentioned.
yeah.
that
Commissioner
it could be
Camacho?
RFP'd out.
I
Commissioner
think that,
Camacho?
yeah, I think that's right. I think that the process would be an RFP. But I do, it appears to be a breach in the license, being that they're in arrears, they are not complying with the agreement on the payments. And so I think grounds to terminate the license are possibly there. And then it's true. There's nothing wrong with putting it out on an RFP. That's the
But I-
process.
Yeah, I think that I did bring it up in the past regarding that, and that was the course I was told. It might be different.
That's
Mr.
correct.
Mr. Miller might have a different, but that's what I brought up the fact that we could probably do another license with another company, and then it was RFP would be the next.
That's correct. That's correct.
Right. Okay. I'm sorry. Hang on, Commissioner Lino. Commissioner Westing, you had your hands up first, and then Commissioner Lino. Commissioner
Thank
Wesling.
you. Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate what Commissioner Camacho just now stated, and I agree with what she what she was saying in her observation, and I'm just this further concerns me here as far as Mr. John Pearson, because in his email, which we all have a copy of to Gita, he says here that he's going to be renting a portion of his leased property with conditions in exchange with the large portion of property with same lease rate and possible future business together with Smithbridge. So and he said that Mr. Albert Smith gave him options, which is a very suitable to his business needs, and that Mr. Pearson will be renting a portion of, I guess, Smithbridge's property with conditions. And so I'm like, okay, you haven't even satisfied the terms with Guam Ancestral Lands. And yet now you're already talking about leasing from one of our tenants. That it just kind of just all sends up red flags here.
I did see the payoff of the 6,000 based on what he's requesting for allowing him to sublease. I did see that in there in the report.
Mr. Chairman, I think the point needs to be that there's a breach. How long are we going to continue to entertain this, considering that it's never gone to the benefit of Guam Ancestral. It's always been to his benefit. I just think, we keep going down the same road. And I'm not sure why we would even consider him as a tenant on another lot. My 2 cents.
Very good. Commissioner Lino?
Mr. Tony, Gita, are you guys aware that Trustee had already moved? Are you guys aware?
Commissioner
Well,
Lino, I can.
Sorry, you mind if I jump in?
Sure,
Yeah,
go
Mr.
ahead.
Tony, Mr. Tony did his inspection on March, which was before Ancestral staff went down. And so when he saw that that they were there, that Transit was in its original place, then, that's why Mr. Tony said that, they were in their place.
They're still
we just didn't-
occupying the premises
Yeah,
at Transtip. But then
correct.
with the Ancestral going down there later,
Yes,
that's not what they saw. And
correct. Yeah, so the movement of Transsteel was after Mr. Tony went down and took a look.
okay.
Okay.
Okay, so you guys are not aware. Okay.
Well, we didn't know that they moved already. It was brought up, by Smithbridge in I think the previous 2 commission meetings.
You're right.
Yeah, we just get it in know that it happened between, then
But
and
between Smith Bridge now and Transsteel, they're making their own decisions.
well,
In the
Smith Bridge is here
movement,
to
right?
Smith Bridge
Okay,
is present to explain if needed.
Okay.
Okay, would it be inappropriate to bring in Smith Bridge in on this since we're still on the topic, or should we wait until
Yeah, for
we
black
go on the
construction,
agenda?
yeah.
And board members, legal
I
counsel,
think so. We're on the topic already.
because I see that Smith Bridge is on B and we do have Matson on A, but right now we're on the topic of Transsteel. So do we want to get their input on while we're on that, or shall we wait?
If we are still on Gita report,
Yeah,
part of Gita, yes, I think we should continue.
yeah.
Okay, so apparently everybody's in a agreement, okay? Mr. Swavely, you want to jump in?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I can totally understand the confusion here. And I thank you, Kathy and Commissioner Westling, for going down there and inspecting. I think inspections like that are really important, both announced and unannounced. I can't speak for John Pearson, but let me tell you real quickly how this thing laid out. For several months, we've been saying we are going to come to the commission to ask for permission to how we could possibly exchange or lease or license or something the Transsteel property, because it's right in the middle of our operations, okay? So we've been clear about that all along. Now, we have made no presumptions about that happening, because no one knows better than I and Albert Smith that nothing like this happens without the commission's absolute approval. Absolute. We know this. So Transsteel, John Pearson says, and I heard him write some other things which I don't quite understand, but I can tell you what he told us. Yeah, he doesn't mind moving his operations and paying rent for a half acre on the Smithbridge property. Okay, he doesn't mind, and he can do that. I mean, he can move his stuff out of your licensed property and move it somewhere else, just like we could move our batch plant right out of our leased property and move it somewhere else. So clearly he can do that from his point of view. Now, from our point of view, we have the authority to rent property without the commission's approval, not to sublease, but to rent. So he said, I want my stuff moved. We said, we can rent it to you. And that's what happened. Clearly, I would be the first person to agree that, wait, you're down there one day and it's jungle and scrap, and you're down there 2 weeks later and it's cleared, right? Okay, so with that respect, yes, at his request, we moved him to a half acre somewhere else. Yeah, that would not be part of our future optimum operations, and moved his stuff over there. But we haven't moved into that at all. We haven't moved into his property.
Yes, we see it. But are you aware that if I remember correctly, and I'm almost positive, on our license agreements, there's no way that we give them authority to rent out or to sublease to anyone.
Our lease allows us to rent.
Yeah, but on his license.
Okay, I'm not speaking for Mr. Pearson.
Yeah, there's
I
a
get
difference.
that. I am not speaking for Mr. Pearson.
Yes.
Just say, hey, can I rent a half an acre? Well, yeah, it's open now, right? And
well, he's requesting from us to sublease.
Yeah, well, I don't know about that. I don't think he can do that. Actually, I think Attorney Miller said before he's not allowed to do that. So in our latest report, which was submitted too late for Gita to digest and summarize and brief you all, one of our 4 points is that we would like to discuss how we can possibly use, how Smith can possibly use the half acre Transsteel. Okay, now can we move him over and you can exchange it? Does he vacate his license and then you put it out to RFP again? Okay, that's a way too. We want to dialogue about that. So that's really where we are, you know. We had no intention of raising these doubts or suspicions, you know, that
Understood, understood. We can see that. Yeah,
you know,
we can see that.
you know,
Understood.
that we're in cahoots with something like
Yeah,
that.
you know, it's understood, understood. That's, yeah, where you're clear. Okay,
I
at
got
this
a
point,
question.
okay, Vice Chair?
No, real quick, you know,
Vice Chair,
well,
go
you
ahead.
just mentioned something there, Dan. I have a question. How much is he renting it out? Uh, that piece of property that you relocated him to, and
The same rent, Vice, yeah, the same rent that we're paying. It's just like our sublease to Limtiaco. It's the same fee. It's the same monthly.
what is that amount?
$1,100 per acre. So
Why would he agree to something that's more and he's paying less on that rent on that piece of property he has right now?
And he cannot even pay rent.
And he's having problems paying rent, he's gonna pay more.
no clue.
Right.
Yeah,
No
okay,
clue.
for all
But
intents
from
and
our point of
purposes,
view, you know, all right,
Well, yeah.
you know. I
for all
don't-
intents and purposes, based on everything, and he was in trouble for years. We were
Yes.
just one step away from.
Well, I've gathered that.
It looks like
meetings,
he's
yeah.
headed for a cancellation of this lease
Yeah,
with this
yeah.
board.
Okay, so
I mean, that's how it looks at this
that's up to
time.
you guys, okay?
Okay, but,
Just know that
okay, understood where you're coming from.
we
So-
want to be number one in line to snatch that property, whatever it
understood.
takes.
Okay, let's get our Attorney Miller. Miller, this is where you got to come in.
Mr. Chairman, members, I think as you have just set forth, my recommendation at this point is that we direct you direct your property manager over at GITA to send TransSteel a letter that says it certainly appears to us as though you have abandoned the property. You know, unless you immediately indicate to us that you desire to continue to maintain the claims under the license, we're gonna regard the license as terminated, and because the license is terminated, you know, you immediately owe us 100%
Right.
of what your outstanding balance is, and so what are you going to do to get that paid off? Separately, it certainly sounds like the commission ought to direct staff to begin the process of putting together an expedited RFP to release those 5 acres on, reflective of, among other things, reflective of the new terms and conditions that the legislature will allow you to enter into.
Okay, thank you, legal counsel.
That's right.
Commissioner Westling, I'm sorry, you had your hands up. Commissioner Westling, you had your hands up real quick.
Yes, I did. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Swavely, you just commented a minute ago that you can rent the property. Right?
Correct.
And yeah, okay. And so now my question is directed to Attorney Miller. Can you please explain to me the difference between rent
Sublease.
and sublease? Please, okay? Because in my world, you know, whenever a principal tenant leases, rents, or whatever to somebody underneath them, it's always termed as being sublease. And my understanding of our leases is that a tenant of the Guam Ancestral Lands Commission cannot sublease or rent to a subtenant under them without explicit permission from the Guam Ancestral Lands Commission. So can you please explain to me the difference between quote rent and sublease?
Rent is perhaps best understood as simply a legal obligation to pay money to use the property of somebody else. But that property of somebody else that remains ownership remains with somebody else, control remains with somebody else. You're borrowing it with the obligation to have to give it back, exactly as you found it. And perhaps the best example I can give you of what is renting is, when you rent a hotel room, you rent a car. There's an understanding that that for a limited period of time, you get to use the property of somebody else, and you're going to pay for it, and you have to be out at a date and time specific. And when you're out, you have to give it back almost exactly as in the condition that you received it. Whether you call it a lease, a sublease, whatever. The lessee, the tenant, has the legal right to control the property of somebody else. They get to put up a fence. They get to lock other people out, and they also have the obligation to pay rent, and they have the obligation to return the property at the end of the lease in whatever conditions are specified in the lease.
Yes.
I would take Mr. Swavely's comments and just adjust them a little bit. If Smithbridge were allowing somebody else to park some trucks on their property for days as opposed to months, and they were getting paid some money for the opportunity to park those trucks, to me that would be a rental, and as your lawyer, I would have no objection to that. On the other hand, if they said, sure, that property over there, you can go ahead and fence it off, you can park your trucks, you can park your containers, you can padlock it off, and only your people can go on that piece of property, and our people can't go on that piece of property. That's a lease, a sublease, call it what you want to.
Mr. Chair, may I request just a point of addition here?
Your name is Mr. Go ahead and state your name.
My name is Mr. Clark Shawman. I'm the Concrete Division Manager for Smithbridge.
For who?
For Smithbridge.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So in response to the very pertinent question of Commissioner Camacho, and thank you to the council, the definitions of rent, rental, and sublease are defined within our lease, and that would be found in section 10.01. And I won't go over that in here, but it's our position that we're acting within that section. And when we use the terms rent and sublease, we're attempting to be in line with that section and those definitions.
May I just make a correction to that statement? This is Commissioner Camacho. I'm talking about Transdeal. I haven't had a discussion about Smithbridge property, so I'm talking about the license, which is different from a lease on Transdeal. It may have been somebody else's comment.
So, wouldn't Smithbridge need our permission to sub-rent or sublease?
Well, I might just read from the lease if that's allowable.
Well, that's what I'm asking our legal counsel.
Mr. Chairman, members, I have not reviewed the Smithbridge particular lease for this property, so I think we will, if the Smithbridge representative wants to just read from the lease, I'm hoping whatever he reads will answer this question in a self-explanatory manner.
I think we're stuck in a quagmire per se, because first of all, Smith Bridge would be subleased, which would need our permission. And I think I see the pertinence of Commissioner Westling's question to you with what is the difference between a rental and a lease or a sublease. So I know we're getting to that subject. It's coming up on the next items, but he's already supposedly renting out a piece of property from Smith Bridge.
Again, Mr. Chairman, I haven't reviewed Smith Bridge's lease, so.
Well, they just admitted that they're renting him out a piece of property for the same amount that they're supposedly leasing out the property.
And my understanding is it's Smith Bridge's position that their particular lease authorizes them to do what they're doing. And my not having reading it, I'm not in a position to agree or disagree with Smith Bridge.
Mr. Chair, it's one sentence long. Can I just read it?
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Section 10 of our lease, A subleasing, in the paragraph of subleasing, the last sentence reads, tenants' rental of portions of the premises in the ordinary course of business, including the rental of any ground spaces, warehouse spaces, or other improvements at the premises, shall not constitute subleasing requiring the consent of the landlord. That is the reason why we rent it a half acre to TransSteel, not to get into some, can we or can't we or should we or shouldn't we? It always seems like it's been, yeah. Thank you, Joey.
Where are we at?
Top of page
farther down.
24.
So read the sentences before that. Tenant shall not sublease the premises without the prior written consent of the landlord.
In each instance, yeah.
Right. Well, go to one section above that where it says rent, if we want to go into this.
You're talking about rental variance?
Rent
No.
or rental shall mean an agreement between the tenant and a third party, which allows the third party to use that's the definition of rent or rental.
Uh-huh.
Correct.
So,
We are
let's not read what we want to read, or let's not point out what we want to point out to benefit our needs.
So let's go to subleasing.
May I just suggest, this is Commissioner Camacho, may I just suggest that we have Attorney Miller look at this and advise us accordingly?
Yeah, let's do that. I agree.
I agree. I
I
agree.
agree.
Let's
Good.
let's not get
Okay,
into
let's,
discussion of this now.
Yeah, let's go ahead and have Attorney Miller do a
Thank you.
study.
I agree too. We saw that sentence. We thought it's okay, right? If it's not, let us know. We will change it right away.
Okay. But with regard to TransSteel,
Yeah.
board members.
Yeah, we're talking about TransSteel. Okay.
I in my opinion, this is Commissioner Camacho, in my opinion, he's defaulted.
Right.
I agree.
Let's get an action on the board then, on the floor.
I don't think we can, Mr. Chair. It's not on the agenda.
No.
It's not on the agenda today.
We need to
vote.
We need to have that on the agenda?
Yeah.
Yes.
Meeting, yeah.
And then in order to make a determination, you gotta make it on the
And Commissioner Camacho again, and if that's the course that we're going to take, then can we just get legal counsel's advice on it as well?
That's what I'm asking him right now.
Well, give him the opportunity to, look at the details of this and that, in all fairness, let's give him the information to advise.
let's take the cautionary road. Let's let him look at it and study the whole thing with it for today. Let's not take any action. And I agree, okay, let's let him look at both stipulations in the lease agreement with Smith Bridge and the situation with TransSteel.
Okay,
Good to go?
yes,
Okay, and we'll attach it for the next meeting.
yes.
Commissioner Westling.
Excuse me, Chairman, may I have permission to step away for just 5 minutes and then I'll be right back?
Sure, your excuse. Okay. Okay, so I think that's going to end this portion of that item on the agenda.
Oh, yeah, true.
Okay, but so we're still we got number 7, old business. Is there anything on old business?
No, sir.
No, sir. Okay. I know we got Matson been patiently waiting there, but does anybody need a 5-minute break, 3-minute break or something?
Yes, we do.
Is it okay with Matson? Are you guys okay with that? I know you've been waiting.
I will make use of that break as well. Thank you.
Okay, 5-minute break. We'll come
Thank
back
you.
at what, 3:36?
Yes.
Okay, we're in recess. Okay, we're back. Is everybody back?
Vice Chair?
Do we still have a quorum? Oh, yes, there's
Yeah.
Vice Chair. Okay.
Here I am.
Okay, we're back in session. This meeting's called to order again. Let's move down now to new business A, Matson. Request to sublease to Black Construction.
Here we go again.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, would you like me to go ahead and begin?
Yes, Mr. How do you have to, Bulan?
Bulan, yeah, that's correct.
Okay,
Thank you.
Bulan, okay.
Yeah, so Mr. Chairman, Vice Chairman, Commissioners, my name is Patrick Bulan. I'm the Vice President, General Manager for Matson here in Guam. I want to thank you again for the opportunity. I attended last month's meeting, and now that the topic is officially on the agenda, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to present what we wish to do with a sublease to Black Construction. So last month, there's been a slight change at Black Construction's request. Initially, they were thinking they would need to lease up to 19.1 or so acres of the property that Matson has under a master lease with Guam Ancestral Lands. That number has been changed. They now are asking for a sublease of 5.33 acres for a period of 5 years. I think we provided the sublease document along with a diagram to kind of identify where in the property of about 30 acres that we currently lease at Polaris Point that they would like to utilize. And just to provide additional context, Matson is utilizing roughly about half of the property that we've been leasing since 2010. So about 15 years almost now. And so we've paid millions of dollars to Guam Ancestral Lands over that time period. The development was always going to be envisioned to be used for Matson's own operations in terms of container storage, chassis storage, chassis repairs, that sort of thing, as well as developing it for construction yard sort of uses. So sort of multi-use, as you can imagine, in an industrial area. And over the last almost 15 years, we have been using a good chunk of that property for our own use. And this kind of is an opportunity, I think, now that with the Department of Defense and all the activities that are happening that we're all aware of. Their intention is to utilize this space that they want to lease from us for a very important project, which I'm sure you're all aware of, which is the glass breakwater project. I know there's a timing element here that's kind of crucial, and it's something we'd like to kind of get going on and allow them to utilize the property. So I present this as a request for approval to the Guam Ancestral Lands Commission and humbly seek your approval.
Okay, thank you. What you said you're on a timeline?
Well, I'm aware that there is a timeline for the project. I mean, there's a critical timeline.
Yeah, okay. Questions, board members?
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to pause the meeting. The live feed is just showing
Okay.
Mr. Buloan. So let me just restart the live feed again. I'm sorry.
Okay.